Hi and welcome again to the User XD Experience Design channel, where we talk about everything around digital product, user experience and more. Today I want to talk about why do startups fail. I've worked with a lot of different startups over the years, running my own business and working for corporate companies, and I've seen that there are a few key reasons that align to why a product would fail and why a startup particularly struggles and fails. So I wanted to quickly go over what they are. Hopefully that gives you some insight and some help with your digital product and your startup. So the first one is market problems. So not having the correct market fit, not understanding the market, not understanding where your product fits into that. A lot of digital products, they don't understand their market value. They don't get their product in front of real users early enough in the stage of proof of concept to get feedback and understand. They also don't know if their pain problem that they're solving is a big enough pain problem. Because if it's a small pain problem, it might not be enough for people to bother using your product, and they will just continue struggling the way they are. So getting early validation of that is really important. So how can we use experience strategy and UX strategy to get around that problem? User testing. It's quite simple. As soon as you've got an idea and a product, you should be creating a prototype and you should be putting it in front of your target users. You also should be understanding your market by talking to your customers and creating personas. I've talked about personas in other videos. Really important that you understand the pain, gains, needs, wants, frustrations, and that you use things like empathy mapping, user need statements, and really understand who your key customer segments are, what are you solving for them, and then get your prototypes in front of them to solve early on if the product's actually doing what it needs to do, and get feedback, iterate, improve before you get anywhere near development or code. Okay, number two, not understanding your cost per acquisition. So this is pretty huge, but it basically means the cost per acquisition or cost per action needs to equal the total ad spend divided by the total attributed conversions. So in layman's terms, if it costs more money to get a new customer than the money that you make from that customer, then you're just going to go bust. And it seems an obvious one, but a lot of companies, they spend lots of money on marketing, advertising, putting their name out there, and they don't break down the cost per acquisition, and then they realize they're actually running at a negative. It's costing them more money to get one user signed up than the user actually makes money for the business. So the things that are important with that is the lifetime value of your customer. How do you keep a long lifetime value? How do you make sure that they're going to be in your product for the long run and therefore be the most valuable to you, which means you've got more freedom with your budget and your marketing to get that cost of acquisition right. But finding the balance is hard. So one simple rule, cost of acquisition must be less than lifetime value. So how can UX strategy help with a customer's lifetime value and address this problem? Well, customer journey maps is a key part. Understanding the entire journey that somebody goes through, where the pain points are, and continuing to iterate and get feedback on that. It should be the core component of your digital product strategy, is your customer journey end to end. With that, onboarding. Onboarding is really critical. It's been shown that improvements in a user's onboarding experience in the first 5 minutes can drive a 50% uptake in lifetime value. So it's really key to get your onboarding correct and make sure you step them through a clear process on how they're going to use the product and get them to their aha moment, which means the minute they understand the value of what they're getting delivered by your product. Get them to there as quickly as you can so they can understand why this product's for them and how it's helping them and why they want to keep using it, and then also hold their hand or step them through how it's going to continue to deliver other values and what else is there. Onboarding is critical. The other thing that can really help is customer feedback loops. So constantly, once you understand your market and you've got your personas, don't stop talking to customers. Keep engaging, keep interviewing, keep getting feedback, running user testing, doing prototypes of new features that are coming before they hit your dev. getting feedback, continually engaging with the audience, set up Facebook feedback groups, set up Slack channels, go out into the field and talk to people face to face, and keep it going, you know. I say you should speak to at least 2 people a fortnight who are your customers. Just get out there and you'll understand why it's working or not working. Another reason that products often fail is poor management. If you don't have a good manager and you don't have good strategy in place, then your product can fall apart because you'll miss a lot of these strategic key pillars, or you miss some important things. So how does a UX strategy help with that? Well, by having one. If you've got a good manager, they'll understand the value of user experience and CX, customer experience, so all experience design, and they'll make sure you have a robust strategy in place with the key strategic pillars from the start, and that you test early, fail fast, and continue to iterate in it and learn. So how do you fix it? By having a good UX strategy will be part of a good management strategy for the product. So the 4th thing is just literally product problems. Sometimes the product won't effectively meet the needs of the market, or it needed to pivot and it didn't realize, and it just sort of fell flat. So general product problems are the 4th main reason that it's not going to work. So we can use experience strategy to make sure that we plan our MDP, which I like to call, which you would have heard MVP is the minimal viable product, but MDP is the minimal desirable product, which I think is what we need to aim for it to be successful. Because if it's viable, it doesn't actually mean that people want it. If it's desirable, it means that there actually is a need. But planning your MVP steps, using techniques like story mapping or similar ones to that, will help you launch successfully to the right users and not fall flat in the market. Continuing with the iterative feedback should help you understand your users and if you need to pivot or change, and then continuing to work on that as a strategy, using user story mapping to plan your MDP so you get a successful launch, using beta launches as well, and continued user testing is the key to getting it right. The other thing is feature prioritization workshops and matrix grids, making sure that you really understand the value of each feature for the business and for the user, and you have a clear defined way of prioritizing those. You know, there's lots of techniques and workshops you can do around that, and I'll talk about some of those in a later video, but really making sure you understand why a feature is important and how it's coming and which ones are the valuable ones, how they fit into your roadmap and your future vision is really key. The final problem is a real one. Startups run out of cash. They're often very tight with money at the beginning, or they're going through funding, or they're waiting to get more money, and they just run out of cash. This can come down to poor management, of course, which would mean you just spent it all in the wrong areas, too much marketing, too much here. But the key thing that a UX and experience strategy can do is help you understand the most valuable things to be working on. So not designing the wrong thing because that's wasteful, then you have to redo it. Not having to redo work because you user tested it properly. Not having to spend multiple sprints on expensive development because you did do a prototype and you did user test these features before they hit the dev and the tech, so that you could understand that it worked before it got to that point. That's going to save you so much money at the beginning by working on what's the right thing to work on and by validating it properly in an inexpensive way before it gets to an expensive development cost or a change of technology or a full pivot even in the business. So having a robust UX and experience strategy helps you avoid these 5 pitfalls and should bring you success in your digital product. I've been Daniel Birch, and thank you for listening. If you have any comments, please just put them below. I'd love to hear your feedback, and be sure to hit subscribe if you like this video and want to hear more from me. Thank you.